Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education, a podcast that focuses on what is happening in education today, connecting everyone to the movers and shakers that are breaking boundaries in the education arena.
Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education. Jerry, we are always so lucky to have some hotshots on our podcast. And what we always get to do is touch base with the leaders of CoSN. And I love, they rotate and we always get to have them on. And I think we're so lucky. And we're lucky to have this board chair on today.
Absolutely. Stacy Hawthorne, we're happy to have you with us. And I must say, before we get going, you'll tell us a little bit about CoSN. But you are the board chair and your social media presence has been incredible.
Really terrific.
It is so thoughtful. And I can tell you put so much into it. I look forward to your posts because they make me think, they push my thinking. And I just want to say I really appreciate what you are doing for the Edtech community with your thoughtfulness. So welcome, Stacy.
Well, thank you. I'm just deeply flattered to be here. I mean, with the freaking badass butterfly, this is so cool. I've told everybody that this is what I get to do today. And Jamie, you are so welcoming and encouraging and supporting women and helping grow connections. So it's just a big honor. I also really quickly want to say, thank you so much for the call out on the social media. I will say it is something new to me. It is not something that I personally am really good at. I've made a concerted effort and I made a decision when they asked me to be board chair that part of being leading at a national level is being out there and being authentic so that people feel connected to the organization. And so this is something that I've really put a lot of work into doing. So that means a lot to me. I have so many good friends that have been good at social media their whole lives. And this is something I've never told anybody before at this level is I've never felt comfortable with my own face. So I don't like having my picture taken. It's just a running gag. And so to be in places where people are taking my picture and I'm learning to be comfortable with it. And it's not only helping to show the leadership side of CoSN, and some of my thoughts on leadership, but it's also helping me to grow as a leader too. And so I think that's really important to take those uncomfortable things and learning to grow through them. So
funny, I think you mentioned that. I had you on a panel not long ago in New York at NICEGate, and I think you mentioned that. And
I did say that in NICEGate.
Yes, and I connected with that too because Jerry is very good at setting up photos and she loves to be in all the action and show all of that, but that's not me. And I'm not as comfortable with that either. So it just takes a little bit more getting used to for sure. So I connect with that.
And I'm lucky to have friends like Jen Womble who says, no, Stacy, that's not how you post. Wait on the back hip, lean forward a little, turtle out the neck. So, but I've got a little routine now, so it's helping a little.
She's good at that. That is for sure. Yes. So tell us, what is CoSN?
Yeah. So CoSN is a consortium for school networking, and it's literally probably the least sexy title for the least sexy part of EdTech you could have. And so it's a professional organization that mostly represents K-12 CTOs, technology directors, anybody that's serving at that highest level of EdTech in a school district. And our goal isn't to, push as much tech in a school district as we can. Our goal is to empower the people that are allowing for those systems to operate to have the tools that they need to operate it safely. So cybersecurity, interoperability, governance structures, AI, interoperability, all of the things. I like to use this analogy. Some people don't like it, but I will use it with you. ISTE's a lot of people know what ISTE is, and ISTE is a great organization. And I think of ISTE and CoSN work very well together. And I think of an iceberg when I think of the two. So I think of ISTE as the top of the iceberg. It's that flashy, cool stuff that makes schools and teachers and classrooms go, ooh and ah, and it's so beautiful. And you want to take a cruise and you want to look at it. And CoSN's the bottom of the iceberg. It's the powerhouse that makes it all work. And if that iceberg doesn't have a solid structure, the stuff at the top is not stable and it's not good for kids. And so CoSN is all about that piece of it. And so from a visual perspective, that's how I really like it.
That's a great analogy.
Actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to say for anyone that's from a smaller school district, when I was superintendent in a small district, the CoSN reports and the CoSN information that I could get was so helpful because I didn't have an entire team that was dedicated to security and to technology. And so they really serve small districts as well as large districts, but I was more thankful, I think, in the smaller district for CoSN.
100%. I was a tech director of a school district with about 7,500 students, and I couldn't have done my job without CoSN and without the network. And I think our resources are good for any district, but if you are a well-resourced district and you have the opportunity to bring in an expert in cybersecurity and to bring in an expert in governance structures and technology, you're going to need a little bit less of what we have to offer. It doesn't mean you can't contribute to the community and be an impactful player on a national stage. But if you're, in my case, I was promoted to tech director because I was the first classroom teacher in the state of Ohio to teach with a classroom set of iPod touches. And they're like, oh, you'd be a good tech director. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm too dumb to say no. So, okay, but let me figure it out. And without CoSN, I couldn't have done those types of things. And so, and honestly, I'm not trying to sell CoSN. Everybody's like, oh, you drank the CoSN Kool-Aid. I do. Being board chair is a volunteer position. So I've drinking enough to volunteer quite a few number of hours every week. But as a small school district, our membership is around $350 a year, and that membership is for the district. It covers everybody in the school district. So you can sign up as many people to have access to our resources, join community committees, interact with our social media, interact with our network. It's a great opportunity for any district, but I do see it as being a huge powerhouse asset for the smaller.
Yeah, the trajectory that you just described is so similar to the trajectory that so many people in those roles had as well. Mm-hmm. So it was exactly my trajectory as well. I got tapped on the shoulder because I did a lot of tech integration and I showed it off to a lot of different teachers and tried to get them to do it the same. And when that happens, you don't have that tech expertise. And a lot of those roles, you are just that single person and not a big team. And so when I became a technology director, I had one person, he was the network person. And then I was in charge of everything else, like the E-rate, getting, the technology teacher team together and training everybody. So there's so many different elements that I had to install a phone system. I promised myself if I ever had to do that again, I would quit. But so many different, oh my gosh, so many different things that you never expected you would be doing. You had to learn on the job. And so that's where CoSN is so great. Yes, the 100%, the resources, invaluable, but also, as you mentioned, the network and the support that it provides. I know when you go to the conference, there are small school focus groups, there are large school focus groups. So that way your people are always there. Always there to support. Yeah. So it really is a fantastic organization.
And Jamie, you mentioned the conference. I'm just going to segue real quick because we have a lot of other things. But our conference is coming up in April. It is in Chicago. And if you've never been to a CoSN conference, it's different than anything that you've ever been to. And we have sessions, we have keynote speakers, but we have a ton of networking events because we really believe it's that community of Edtech that makes us more powerful as individuals in our district. And what I really mean by that is another example is when you go to most conferences, there's always a vendor hall. Sometimes it's a little over the top. They're always, giving away free water bottles and all kinds of cool stuff. But at CoSN, we have what we call our Edtech Exchange. And it is a area where there are events, lunches happen in there, different types of things happen in there, and our vendors are in there. But our vendors can't get a space at our Edtech Exchange if they're not a member of CoSN all year long. We don't want to just have people drop in and drop out and try to take money from school districts. We're looking for Edtech partners that want to help build a better ecosystem and talk to CTOs, talk to tech directors, have meaningful conversations. And to even make that more extreme, every single vendor, whether you are a $1 billion corporation or you're a small startup, you get the exact same real estate. You get the exact same table space. We put your logos on there. And the Edtech Exchange is only open when there's no sessions going on. And when there's no sessions going on, the Edtech Exchange is open instead of backwards. But when there is nothing happening in the Edtech Exchange, we encourage our vendor partners, our vendor members to go to the sessions, to listen to what schools are talking about, to hear what their problems are, to hear how they're solving and see how they can be a part of that solution. So we're really trying to foster an ecosystem where everybody works together and not at odds against each other to help improve student learning outcomes. And so that to me is a powerful part.
And what I love about that arrangement, that whole setup, is that no matter who you are as a company, like you mentioned, big, small, no matter who you are as a district leader, it has such a strong and welcoming community feel that it just elevates everyone to be part of this network, to be part of this community.
Yeah.
And it really is special. It really, really is. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The first time I went, I was intimidated going because I hadn't been a tech director in a long time, but I've been with ClassLink, and in between I was an instructional strategies consultant. So I had my own PD thing. And so I was kind of like removed a little bit and I did work with tech people, but more on the integration side. So I was a little intimidated. No, that's not the way it is at all. Everyone is all about rolling up their sleeves and learning and growing together. And it was not what I expected when I went. It really wasn't.
It's like a nerd reunion, but in the best way possible.
Is there, aside from all the connection and all the things you've talked about, is there anything happening at the conference that you're really excited about? Is there a keynote?
What do we have to look forward to?
Yeah. So actually one of our most popular events at the conference is the Women in EdTech Breakfast. It has been sold out the last couple of years. We're looking for ways to add more time and space for to have this event. We have literally hundreds of women come. Usually ClassLink is a sponsor, so I hope you're sponsoring again this year. I haven't checked out our sponsor list, but it is such a good place for Jamie, exactly like you described, especially if it's your first time or you feel a little disconnected or you're like, how do I fit in this space? To have just a safe space to talk about leadership, to talk about educational technology, how we can make an impact, how we can support each other. I have not talked to anybody that has been to that didn't say, I can't wait to go back to CoSN because of this particular event. It's so powerful. We do have special meetups for everybody, small schools, large schools, urban schools. We have a belonging and inclusion committee that hosts events. We have a CEDL networking event for all of our CEDLs, which is our certified EdTech leaders. They're actually meeting at Wrigleyville this year, so they'll have a big planning event at Wrigleyville. I'm both excited because it sounds so cool, but normally it's at the same space that the conference is at. And so it's on Saturday before the conference, and the board members have a 2-day board meeting on Saturday and Sunday. So usually we can break out of the board meeting and on a break and go say hi to the CEDLs, but now it's down at Wrigleyville, so I can't sneak out to get to go. So I'm a little bummed about that part, but it'll be super cool. And we have an amazing keynote this year. I'm so excited that we brought her. And she's not a household name. She's not, big on the speaking circuit, which honestly to me means quite a bit. She's in the classroom at the university level. She is a researcher, and her name is Dr. Candace Onkers, and she does research on impact on screen time, social media, technology on young people. And she is very deliberate at reading and interpreting the research that she's doing and that she's seeing. And she will point to some things that she's like, hey, here's parts of social media that can show harms for students, but there's some really good things that come out of educational technology for students. So it's a balanced approach, which is something that CoSN really advocates for, and not the Chicken Little, sky is falling, the chasm. I was just interviewed in an article last week for NBC News, and, he asked me about some screen time issues. And I said, there's a big chasm between social media is bad for kids and let's pull screens out of schools. Okay? We need to have the conversations in there, in that space.
Absolutely.
And so Dr. Onkers will be great at that.
And it depends on what you're doing on the screen.
Yes, it's not just a screen time, it's a continuum.
Right.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And can I give a real quick shameless plug since I just used screen time and continuum? CoSN, one of our great reports in 2025, we every year we do a report. It's called the Blaschke Report. And in 2025, it was on screen time and the call for balance. And that report is freely available to anybody. You do not have to be a CoSN member to access that report. But it has a report on screen time, a call for balance, and there's 7 or 8 items in a toolkit there, including a screen time continuum visual, some PowerPoint presentations that you can use with your, if you're in a district, to use with your parents, some resources for classroom teachers at a variety of levels. It's a phenomenal resource, and it's freely available.
Oh, we'll link it here. That's great. That's
right.
because it's a big conversation right now. There needs to be balance. And I mean, there are challenges with, the phones, right? And so when we have screens in the classroom, we can't take them away because we need to prepare students for their future. But at the same time, we don't want to be doing the drill and kill, meaningless integration. It's got to be about, as you said, that balance. We got to have that balance and meaningful. Do it using 100%. It meaningfully. So yeah, I'd love to see that resource, and we'll put it in the show notes here. This is a perfect example of the types of resources that CoSN has to offer. And as you mentioned, that you don't have to be a member for. That's just the work that you do. So important.
Well, I was going to say, Stacy, as you said that you've really broadened your horizons as the chair for CoSN. You've taken on social media. We're just interviewed for the news. I mean, there's so many things, but there's another thing that you're working on that, I've never heard another chairperson do this. I think it's phenomenal. And that is a book. Can you tell us about the book that you are working on?
Yeah. So it's crazy. And when I got my doctorate, I swore that was the last time I was going to write a 200-page book. But turns out, never say never. So I am, I said earlier on, I was tech director because I taught with iPod touches. I saw firsthand in the classroom, just rudimentary technology by today's standards, how it engaged students and brought them enthusiasm for what they were doing. As a parent, I have 3 children. My 2 daughters are both female scientists. One's a systems engineer, one's a microbiologist, and she works on the computer system, runs a county health department, a large county health department. She's in charge of their entire laboratory information management system. And technology is an incredible part of their lives. I've been a former online school tech director, online school director. I completely designed an online school for profoundly gifted students from the ground long before COVID. It was online before COVID, during COVID, after COVID kind of thing. And throughout all of that, I've seen how technology, when used purposefully, empowers learning and creates opportunities for students. And so the call to de-screen schools terrifies me. And so I've decided to write a book. And I think the impetus for this book is there are people out there sharing their negative experiences with EdTech in the classroom. And while those experiences are lived experiences and valid, and I don't want to discount them at all, they're not the norm, and they're not what we expect in EdTech. It's not what CoSN wants with educational technology. So the title of the book is called Purposeful Technology, Powerful Learning. You Can't Ban Possibility. And it's all about challenge. So the book focuses on the call to remove screens from schools. But we want to change the conversation instead of here's this bad experience my student had to here's these good experiences other students have. So it's going to be real world stories from school districts across the country. And the book is going to highlight how thoughtfully designed, well-governed educational technology enables learning experiences that would have been impossible otherwise. So I don't want to debate screen time for the sake of screens. I want to invite leaders to focus on intentionality, pedagogy, and system level decisions that ensure technology serves learning and not the other way around. So I've got a URL if people want to sign up just to stay updated. I've got it. I have signed with a publisher. I just ordered a bunch of stickers because I was at FPTC last week, and it turns out you need to have stickers. So I've got stickers for upcoming events. So if you want a free sticker, come see me. But if you want to share your story, if your district is like, oh my gosh, we've done this amazing thing with accessibility, tell me about it. Let's see if it's a good fit for the book. Simple things, and I, good examples. I know you were both at FETC. They had the drone show from the high school in Colorado. Like, how do you take that opportunity away from those students? Those students they've learned their FAA pilot's license. They've learned business skills. They've learned coding. They've learned programming. They've learned engineering and design. And they're in such demand because there's such a shortage of drone pilots that those kids get picked up on Friday afternoon, flown to New York, piloted a few drone shows, and flown back. I guarantee they're making more working 2 days a week than most first-year teachers are. So, but let's pull screens away. That doesn't make sense. There's another school in Colorado that somebody was just telling me about that in one of their classes, the teacher has taught them design, and they are using high-tech tools and old-fashioned trade skills to recreate board games for a visually impaired school that's nearby. And so they're creating versions of traditional board games that we played as kids, but are accessible to the visually impaired. And they're using technology to be able to do that. And they're learning empathy. They're learning the type, I mean, those are the kind of kids we want in this world. So how do we take those opportunities away? So that's what this book is about. And it's about sharing those stories. My goal is to get it out by the summer.
Yes.
I know that's, I'm really good at setting stretch goals for myself. But this isn't a story that can wait to be told, because if it comes out after if it comes out after technology's been banned, it's not going to be very. So I do have, a compelling reason to get it out. So I'm very excited about that. Not what I planned on doing one morning, but suddenly the words came out of my mouth because I felt like I had to do something.
Yes.
Amazing. That's amazing. And maybe we can put the link for people to share their stories in the show notes as well, because and that's going to be so fun for you as you meet with these educators to hear about these wonderful stories of meaningful and purposeful integration of technology. So that's going to be exciting, really fun for you. I know it's a hard task to get a book out the door in a couple of months, but at least it's going to be so uplifting and enjoyable for you.
That's right.
And I've got 3 interviews scheduled in the next week, so I'm really excited. So we're getting responses.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful.
And I will add, CoSN has supported me on this a lot. They're very excited about this. And so their social media team and their comms team are working with me. And so the goal of the book is not for me to make money. The goal of the book is to reclaim the narrative. And that's what's most important for me in this work. So CoSN is working with their social media comms team, and they're going to start highlighting some of the stories as I uncover them. So we'll be putting out blogs, videos, vignettes along the way, which most publishers would say, that's a terrible idea. You want them to buy the book. And my publisher is an amazing educator who cares about student learning outcomes. And so he's like, if that's what means the most to you, Stacy, let's do that. What means the most to you. So
that's wonderful. Yes. I'm so looking forward to this.
Me too.
It'll be great. Yes.
Absolutely.
And my goodness, you have a lot on your plate.
Yes.
So much.
That's a lot.
Somebody told me one day, you wear a lot of hats, and I just learned, you know what? I just bore really easy. So this just keeps me entertained. So.
Keeps you getting up in the morning. No, that's terrific. That's terrific. So you are the CoSN chair. You are writing a book, and you are a grandmother. And what else do you have going on?
Well, I do have a day job.
That's right.
None of those things pay.
More about that.
Yeah. So I work for an amazing not-for-profit group. It's called Learn 21. There's 2 parts to it. So I'll tell you a little bit about both of them. But Learn 21 started as a group of tech directors in Ohio that really just wanted to band together to do shared purchasing to make things better. So many of the school districts in Ohio, there are over 600 school districts in Ohio. And I think like 70-something% of them are considered small or under-resourced. So we just don't have the big money. Even our biggest school districts, the city school districts, are 35,000, 40,000, which is small compared to a lot of states. So we started doing that. And we've been around for about 15 years. When I first was promoted to tech director, and that was the same year that Learn 21 started, and I was asked to, our school district join Learn 21. And so that's how I met these folks. I've been a part of them as a member school district for a long time, eventually served on their board a couple times, and then joined them full time about 3 years ago as the chief academic officer. I love working for a not-for-profit organization, and knowing that at the end of I got into education because I wanted to make an impact and make a positive difference. And you can do that in a variety of industries, but I know when I'm working at Learn 21, I'm doing that every single day. And then about 2 years ago, we created another arm of Learn 21 called the Edtech Leaders Alliance, and I'm the executive director over there. The Edtech Leaders Alliance serves as the home for the Ohio CoSN chapter. We're a CETA affiliate. We're an ISTE partner, and we're also the home of the Student Data Privacy Consortium Alliance. We do all the data privacy agreements for over 500 school districts in the state of Ohio. And in July of last year, we signed the state of Colorado for their data privacy agreement. So these are districts that want to use apps like ClassLINK. Then we reach out to them and say, hey, here's a data privacy agreement, because the districts in this state say data privacy is paramount. And ClassLINK says, absolutely, let's sign on. And so we help them. We provide concierge service to manage all of that for them. And then once we get it, The other districts that are members with us can sign on. And in a year and a half in Ohio doing this, we've signed over 2,000 data privacy agreements with different Edtech vendors. And so you went from having 30 school districts that were trying to do data privacy through the registry, and now we have over 500 with 2,000 signed DPA. So that's most of what we do. And we do a lot of thought leadership work, which is why the CoSN fit is a really nice piece. Our organization is amazing. And when I talked with our CEO about the opportunity that was presented to me to be CoSN board chair, and how much time it was going to take, after talking to Diane, who is chair extraordinaire, he was like, absolutely, let's do it. And so it's great to work somewhere that supports the opportunity to give back.
Wow. You are doing so many different things, but they all tie in together. That is quite nice, actually. Except for being a grandma, that's extra. That's always extra.
It's a whole other level.
But a whole other level. So delicious. But that's fantastic. I mean, it just seems kind of things are tied up so nicely. And I know this book seems like it's going to be kind of, one extra thing. It's going to be a blessing for all of us. So a gift. So I thank you for that. I think I'm really looking forward to checking it out. And it kind of helps to tie everything together for you. It's really nice.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It does tie together even with the grandchild, because I was talking to my daughter last week before I was interviewed by NBC, and, just sharing it and everything. And she's like, wait, what? They want to pull screens out of schools? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, and she's got a 1.5-year-old, which she doesn't, her granddaughter doesn't have an iPhone. She doesn't have an iPad. They cover the TV, so they're not into screens that, having her use the screen as a babysitter. And I was explaining it to her, and I shared a couple of, different speakers on the topic and things. And she's like, I don't want my daughter going to school with no technology and no screens. This is crazy. She's like, thank you, Mom, for taking this on. And so it does bring it all back together.
It does. So. Yes. It does. Absolutely. You're setting up the future for success in all of your work, including your grandchild and grandchildren, actually, soon, right? You have
one on the way. One on the way. 2 months.
One on the way. Yes. Well, we appreciate all of the goodness that you are giving to the education world in so many ways. And we just want to thank you for your service and for sharing some time with us here today. I could tell your time is hard to get. So we appreciate.
Wow. I thank you both for blazing the path, because it's so much easier because we've had models like y'all.
Thank you. Well, and we will put all of those links in so that people can get to them. And we wish you the best of luck with your book.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. And if you would like to stay linked up, be sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify, and subscribe to us on YouTube.